Are you struggling to manifest what you want or have been trying to manifest something for years and it's still not happening? Well, join my 21-day manifestation challenge, which starts in January. You will be part of the manifest movement. Don't have FOMO, fear of manifesting out. Join the challenge at pausepenny.com. What's up, manifestors? Welcome to the Manifest Movement. We are creating a movement, a total manifest movement, a vibe. And today I am going to chat to you about the hardest part of manifestation by far. The one thing that took me the longest to learn for sure. And the reason why this has come up is because Wednesday, October 15th, was Pregnancy and Infant Awareness Loss Day. And given that I've had 3 miscarriages and a pregnancy loss, it's just such a huge part of my life that trying to have a baby. And this, regardless of whether or not you are trying to have a baby or you're trying to meet a soulmate or you're trying to manifest more abundance in your life or you're trying to get a new job, it does not matter. When you want something really badly, the hardest thing to manifest, the hardest thing in the manifestation journey at that point is surrender and letting go, because we get very attached to how it's going to happen and when it's going to happen. But for those of you that are familiar with my bestseller manifestation box, you know that there are only 7 steps in that box, right? What do you want? Why do you want it? What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? What action are you going to take? And what are you grateful for? There is no how and there is no when. And when I was making the box, I just knew, like, you cannot focus on how it's going to happen, because I knew from experience the universe is responsible for the how, because it will show up in ways you would have never expected. And when you put a timeline on it, it's not your timeline. You might not be aligned to that timeline. And I know that I said things like, oh, I wanted to manifest twins, 2 boys at Christmas. So like at Christmas time, it took how many years for that to happen? Like I got pregnant with my first baby in 2016, right? I didn't have the twins until 2022. So years, right? Absolute years. But I was so focused on how and when I could not surrender and let go. And surrender and let go is not giving up. It is letting go of the attachment to wanting it so badly. You're holding on to it so tightly that you are choking your manifestations. You're choking it because you cannot release it. Like your body is even tense thinking about it. You're obsessed. You know you're not surrendering and letting go when you are obsessed. And this can come from everything. You want to build your social media and you're constantly looking at the numbers. This is something I had to pull myself back from, the data and the analytics. Of course, you need to look at the numbers. You need to look at it. You need to look at the data, but not constantly. Not refreshing the page to keep looking at it. Not posting and then seeing, and getting upset when you don't have the numbers. And same when you're trying for a baby or you want more money. Surrender and let go, and not being attached to it, because attached is lack. But like I said, surrender is not about giving up. It's about giving in and letting go. You are still taking aligned action, but your vibrational frequency isn't one of fear and lack and obsessiveness. It's one of knowing that it is going to happen. So I'm going to tell you a story. I don't think I've really shared this story in very much detail, but it's the story about my firstborn and all the manifestation lessons I learned when I was having my first child, well, trying to have my first child, and how much I was trying to control everything. And I always say that I'm kind of a type B person because I'm all over the place, all over the shop. But when it comes to like my career or trying to achieve a goal that I've set myself, I'm a total type A. I am driven to succeed. I know that I want to get from A to B to C to D to E to F to G, goal to get my goal. And I have a process in place and I am going to get there. And this is how I'm going to do it. Right. So that's what I thought when I was going to try for a baby. So let's take it back a little bit. My mom and my grandmother used to always say how easy it was for them to get pregnant. They used to make this joke. They'd be like, he would smile at us, or, I'd take my knickers off and I was pregnant, right? So I had this thing in my head that like getting pregnant was going to be easy for me. I used to say it to myself all the time. Like even before I'd met somebody, I just had this belief like, oh, it's gonna be easy for me to get pregnant. Like I just knew it. And I got married in July of 2015. And that Christmas, myself and my husband went to a wedding, and I had an app that could tell when you're ovulating and all of that sort of stuff. And I was like, we weren't going to try. We were gonna wait a little bit of time before we tried for a baby. But I was like, look, let's see what happens here. And bang, I got pregnant. So I found out I was pregnant that January, and I went for a scan. And my first scan, it was really early on. It was 6 weeks. It was fine. I was going to the LA, San Francisco actually, and LA for work. And I remember the obstetrician said to me, "Oh, yeah, it's fine for you to fly, but just in case anything happens abroad." And I remember thinking, like, what is he talking about? Like, if anything happens, don't know what he's talking about there. Anyway, I came back and I had a 9 week scan, and there was no heartbeat. So it was a missed miscarriage. And to say I was in shock was an understatement. Like, what do you mean I had a miscarriage? This did not even enter into my head. But cue what happens next. What happens next is you've had this fail, and then it goes into your subconscious mind and fear starts to build up. Just like if you're trying to meet a soulmate and you've been treated badly and you're like, "Oh, every guy or every girl is a dickhead. They don't treat me well. I always meet assholes." Like this is the story that you start to repeat to yourself. And then so I got pregnant the second time and I had another miscarriage, and I made a decision at that point that okay, I am taking control of this situation. And by taking control, what did I do? I went to an IVF clinic, and I said, I had gotten testing of the tissue of the baby, and it came back as abnormal chromosomes, right? So this is me saying to the universe that I wanted to manifest twins. Again, twins, two boys at Christmas, and it was going to happen via IVF, effectively. So I went to an IVF clinic, and there was a well known kind of, it's like the best in the market for IVF. And I said to her, "Okay, can you put two eggs in?" And she said, "Yes, yes, and you can have Trachean twins." I remember her saying that, and I said, "Well, can you put three in?" And she was like, "No, no, no, you will die, and I will go to jail." Right? I never forget her saying this, but I remember thinking to myself, "That's it. I'm having IVF." And what they were going to do was they were going to genetically test the eggs, knowing that even I was in my early 30s, right? And the egg quality, well, it's a long story, but for those of you that are trying to get pregnant, I was the opposite of like struggling to get pregnant. I got pregnant every time because I had a very receptive uterus. So every egg was implanting. So it's not necessarily like my egg quality was that bad. It was that every egg was implanting, whereas most people, it'll take a couple of months for the right egg to implant. But every egg of mine was implanted. So I had super fertility, rare, but of course, I had super fertility. And so what had happened was we had made the decision that we were going to have IVF and do genetic testing. And I was like, this is it. This is how I'm going to get pregnant. I'm going to have my twins via IVF. And what happened was the IVF clinic and my obstetrician disagreed on the approach. My obstetrician was like, you don't need IVF. You are getting pregnant. You will have a baby. This is crazy. You do not need genetic testing of your eggs. And the IVF clinic were saying the opposite. You need to get genetically tested of your eggs, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, I wanted the path which felt at the time of least resistance. I did not want to go through another miscarriage. I wanted to get pregnant, have my twins, and be done. By the way, this is another mistake people are making when they're manifesting. Don't manifest out of fear. I was manifesting twins out of fear. If I have two, I'm done. This chapter is over. I'm good. Bye-bye to the chapter, right? Don't manifest out of fear. If you are manifesting twins now, ask yourself why. Like if there's a deep knowing that you're going to have twins, fine. But if you're doing it because you're like, I'm getting older and I'm scared and I would just want to have two and I want to be done with the chapter, it can still happen, but it might take you longer than you think, right? So anyway, I had my second miscarriage. I was in with the IVF clinic and I was going to go for IVF. And guess what happened? Boom, I got pregnant while in the IVF clinic, naturally. And oh my God, I was like, why did you do this to yourself, Yvonne? So I got pregnant again. I was in the IVF clinic, had a scan at 6 weeks, went back at 8 weeks. It was around 8 weeks. And she said, oh, or is this the third one? Oh my God, there's so many like this. But anyway, the doctor had said to me, Yvonne, sorry, the second one I actually think I was in California. So I had a miscarriage when I was in California, which was an absolute nightmare. It's a story for another day. I was at a board meeting. So my third pregnancy. Yeah, this was my third one. Sorry. So my third miscarriage, I was in the IVF clinic, meant to be getting IVF, and I get pregnant naturally. And part of me thought, oh, I got pregnant. Maybe this will work. And at the 8-week mark, I went for a scan, and the IVF clinic doctor who I was seeing said, Yvonne, I'm almost sure this isn't going to work out. The heartbeat is very low and it's slow, and I just don't think it's going to work out. And oh my goodness, you know that feeling of trying to hold on to hope because you never know, but also knowing it might end up in another miscarriage. It's just so painful. So anyway, it did end up in another miscarriage, and I got the tissue tested again. And that January then of 2018, we decided that we were going to California on a vacation. And when we got back in the February, everything was going to be lined up to start IVF. So we went to California and just had the best time. It was like, finally, I was like, you know what? We're going for IVF this time. It's all going to work out. We're going to have our twins. Let's just go and have a good time. And when we get back, we'll be going for IVF. So we went to California. We had the best time ever. I came back home and I just got this feeling that like, oh shit, could I have gotten pregnant while I was in California? And I went out, I was in work, and I took a pregnancy test. And I came back to the office, took the pregnancy test in work, and I threw the pregnancy test into my handbag. And immediately when I threw the test into the bag, had the test in the bag, my obstetrician called me and said, I just want to give you the results of your last miscarriage. It's also a genetically, like a chromosome abnormality in the egg. So this is a repeating pattern. My eggs have chromosomal abnormalities, and that is why you're miscarrying, which is the top reason why people miscarry, right? And I immediately thought, oh shit, please don't be pregnant. Please don't be pregnant. And the obstetrician said to me, but if you were to tell me right now that you were pregnant, I would tell you that you have just as good chances as anybody else for having a baby. And I remember getting off the phone with him and thinking, fuck, 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 don't be pregnant, don't be pregnant. And I looked into my bag and I was pregnant. 4th time pregnant. And I was just so angry at myself. I was so angry for getting pregnant again because I wanted to have IVF, even though the obstetrician at the time said, this isn't the route for you. And I work for a biotech, so I read all the clinical trial papers. I read them about the fact that if you're having if you're getting pregnant and you're miscarrying, IVF is not the route for you. You'll still miscarry, right? Potentially. But I didn't want to believe what the papers were saying. I was like, well, I'm going to have them genetically tested, so it's not going to happen to me. This was my route. This was the way I was going to get pregnant. This was the how. The how was IVF. The how was implanting 2 eggs. I would then have twins. And I remember saying at the time, oh, all I want is a baby for my 35th birthday. All I want is a baby for my 35th birthday. And I remember thinking in February when I looked at that test, there's no way I'm going to have a baby this year now because it's February. I'm going to have to miscarry, which is March, April at least. May, I'm going to end up having a surgery, D&C, to remove the baby, because I'm going to miscarry. This was what was going on in my head. And then I have to start the IVF process. So it's going to take June, July. That has to work. So we're going to be into 2019. And this is what was going on in my head. So I had it all figured out. I was going to get pregnant with twins via IVF. And then I get pregnant and I've thought to myself, I've slowed down the entire process again. And then what happened? I was 4th time lucky. I got naturally pregnant 4th time. And it made me realize that we obviously have to take action in our lives to get what we want. We've got to go to the doctor to see, are there any issues with us if we're trying for a baby? We've got to go on the dates if we want to meet a soulmate. We've got to put in our CV and go for the interviews if we want that dream job. We have got to take action. However, we cannot dictate to the universe how it's going to happen. Oh, I'm going to get pregnant only by IVF. I'm going to meet somebody. I'm not going to meet somebody on the apps. A lot of people say to me, I'm not going to meet somebody. How do you know? How do you know what way your soulmate's going to come into your life? I'm only going to make money by winning it. I'm going to win the lotto. Stop saying that shit. You don't know how it's going to happen. I had so much belief, or so much emotion in the how of this is going to happen via IVF because I was controlling the outcome. I was trying to control how it was going to happen. But what I know for sure is now, let go of your how. Let go of how it's going to happen because I guarantee you it will come in the most unexpected ways. And once you surrender and let go, your life will flow. And I never really understood, why is it that when we let go, our life flows, right? Why is it? I just know this from my own experience. It's the reason why how is not in the manifestation box. But then I listened to a neuroscientist, on the brain on Instagram, and she had a post about the neuroscience of letting go of the how and the when. And it was all related to the attachment to the how and how your brain is so focused on the how that it can't see outside this box. And then your cortisol levels are going up and the stress levels are going up. It's why people always say when you relax, it'll happen, which is so annoying. And you just want to punch them in the face You're like, how am I supposed to relax when I'm trying to have a baby? Would you just shut the F up, right? But it is true. You need to surrender and let go, but know that it's going to happen, trusting the timing of your life. So I had put all my how in the IVF basket, and then I got pregnant naturally, and it was the fourth time that it actually worked. And what happened next was, remember, I was saying I just wanted a baby for my 35th birthday. So I wanted a baby for my 35th birthday, and he came, my son, on October 15th, which is Pregnancy and Infant Awareness Loss Day. My rainbow baby came on Rainbow Baby Day, and it was one day before my 35th birthday. One day before my 35th birthday, he came. So even though I was trying to figure out the how, I also wanted the when before my birthday. I had gotten myself into such a spin that I needed to have IVF, and I was going to end up miscarrying this fourth pregnancy. And now it was never going to happen for my 35th birthday because it was going to take so long to go through the process for a fourth time. But little did I know that the universe had other plans. So letting go of the how is so, so important. And it also goes to show, this whole pregnancy goes to show about how important it is to really work on your fear and your doubt, because I really wanted to have a natural, say, pregnancy. And I was saying all the affirmations in the world, all of them. Like, I bought a kit for like mom affirmations for pregnancy and a baby, but I was reading them and I couldn't feel them. I had so much fear because of what had happened previously. And then I ended up not having a natural pregnancy, ended up in an emergency section. And I was like in this like unit where they really need to watch over you because my heart rate went insane, right? So when you're manifesting, you have to look at the whole picture. If you have blocks of fear and doubt, you need to work on them instead of just convincing yourself that you don't have them, or convincing yourself that if I just say these affirmations, it'll work. It doesn't work like that. You really need to be able to feel it. So sometimes before you even get to say my manifestation challenge, you might need to do a little bit of the inner child work or some other work to help you clear these subconscious blocks that you have. And when you are manifesting, the how is not your problem. Let that for the universe. The when is not your timeline. It is not on your timeline. So if you are dictating to the universe, I am going to meet somebody on a night out, I am not going to meet somebody on an app, I am going to get a promotion and this is how I'm going to make my money, I am going to win the lotto, so this is how I'm going to make my money, I am going to get an inheritance, or this is my dream house and this is the only house that I want, and we are going to get it. It is not up to you. And I guarantee you this, it always works out even better than you could have expected, but you need to trust the timing of your life. You need to trust that everything will work out for you. And how do you trust, right? So firstly, think the way that I do. Now I have so much trust. I just trust it's all going to work out for me. That doesn't mean I don't have down days and I'm like, oh, this is, even this week alone, I've just been so triggered. I've been so triggered by people on social media that I feel like have no integrity. And I'm just like, really? Is this the industry that I want to be in? Surrounded by certain entrepreneurs and some influencers that I feel like just have no integrity, would sell any product, et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, I am not sure I want this, right? So there are days for me too that I like can get down, but I know I usually get through that and my vibe is back again, right? But I already know everything will work out for me exactly as it should, even better than I could have expected. I trust. But how have I built that trust? I look back on my life, right? Hovan, my first child, was born. Then I had Penelope, the twins. Once I had let go of wanting twins, like I was done after 2 kids. The twins showed up into my life. Twins, 2 boys on Christmas Eve, right? And the house that we wanted to buy, we were bidding on loads of houses. We kept getting outbid, outbid, outbid. Finally, we found a house that we wanted, that we really wanted. Another one, we were bidding on it, and it just got to such a high price that I was like, that's it. This is our final bid. And I had to let it go. I had to let the house go. And then the next day, once I said it to my husband, we need to let this house go. Like, that has to be our final bid. The next day, we were informed that we got the house. And you know what? I don't know what the science is of it, honestly. Letting go, how when you let go, it suddenly comes into your life. But I've seen it with my firstborn. I've seen it with the twins. I've seen it with the house, even my soulmate. I'll give you this soulmate story, right? This is about like not attaching to something very specific. So when I went to a fortune teller when I was around 21, I was like devastated over this guy that broke up with me. We were going out for 5 years, but the psychic had told me that I was going to meet my soulmate. He was perfect for me. And my best friend was going to tell me, this is the perfect guy for you. And I was like, oh, that's my friend Mona. She's in the car outside. That'll definitely be her. And a couple years later, my friend Mona said, I met this guy. He's perfect for you. His name is Vahan, and you two would be perfect together. And I never connected the dots of what the psychic said at the time. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll look him up on Facebook. It was all about Facebook at the time. And long story short, I was always too busy. I never had time for him. I'm like wearing the engagement ring to bed at night, but like have no time for this person. So anyway, we go out. I'm not sure I've told this part of the story before, but she says it's his 25th birthday. Will you come out and you'll get to meet him, right? So it's his 25th birthday. And I'm like, yes, I'm going to meet him. And now bear in mind, she's also telling him about me nonstop. You need to meet my friend Yvonne. So we go out to the pub and I meet him in Slattery's in Dublin on his birthday. And she introduces us. Yvonne, this is Vahan. Vahan, this is Yvonne. And guess what happens next? Nothing, like absolutely nothing. And I'm like, this is the guy she's been talking about to me for 2 years and talking about to him for 2 years and nothing, nada. I was so embarrassed. I said to her after that night, the next day, there's more to this story, like following him to house party, watching him chat up another girl. But I won't get into it in this podcast. Oh, the things you do in your 20s. Anyway, I remember saying to her the next day, don't ever talk about that guy again. Don't ever, ever mention his name again. Don't mention his name. I have never been so embarrassed in all my life. Like, he clearly was not interested in me, right? So I said, don't ever mention his name again. And she was like, okay, I won't. I think she felt so bad for like building him up so much. And then I got nothing. And she was shocked. She was like, I know he would like you. And I was like, don't talk about him. So anyway, roll on. So I was like, I was being very specific. This is the guy. Vahan is the guy. Vahan is the guy. I'm going to meet this guy. He's going to be the one. My friend is telling me he's perfect for me. It's going to be him. And then I went to a talk by Mike Dooley, who's written pieces in The Secret. And he's that great online email, The Notes from the Universe. Sign up to it if it's really, really good. But anyway, he said, I remember when I went to see him, he said, don't choose the person, choose the qualities. So I went home and I wrote down my qualities list. And that's why we have a list of qualities on our website, right? pausepenny.com, free tool. So write down the qualities. And 2 months later, I walk into a bar, I meet a guy, and it happens to be Vahan, the guy that I'd met 2 months earlier. And he introduced himself and then I introduced myself. But he had a beard, so I wasn't 100% sure if it was him, and he also called himself Vinny. He does that in pubs when because like it's so hard to hear, and people are like, Vaughn, Van, what's your name? So he called himself Vinny. So I looked closer at him. I was like, is your name Vahan? And are you friends with Mona White, my best pal? And he was like, oh my God, are you Yvonne from A&L Goodbody? This was a law firm I worked in at the time. And I said, yeah. He was like, I can't believe I'm finally meeting you. I was like, hello, you met me 2 months ago at your birthday. And he couldn't remember. He was like, my birthday, where I was like, had lots of drinks and lots of shots. But I had let go of the attachment that it would be him. And all of a sudden he showed up in my life again. And I knew. And then we got married, just like the house. I let go, but I had genuinely let go. Like I had let go of the house. I had let go of the attachment that it was going to be him. And then it came back around. So you never know what way the universe will show up for you. But what I would say is know that everything always works out for you. Trust the timing of your life. If you're struggling with how it's going to happen and when it's going to happen, surrender and let go. Do little things to help you surrender and let go. I always say that prayer. I surrender and let go. You just, if you find your voice over and over and over again in your head, just tell yourself, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I surrender and let go. And then start creating the belief that this is going to happen for you. Show up as the person that already has it. Keep visualizing. Ask the universe for a sign. And then when you have those down days, which you will have, they will come, you just keep telling yourself, I trust the timing of my life. I surrender and let go, because everything always works out for me. So there you go. And if you're really struggling to kind of surrender and let go, you're struggling when and how it's going to happen, you've done everything and you're just like, I don't know, I've done everything and this is just not working for me. Well, join the manifestation challenge that starts in January. Join our manifestation challenge. This will help you get through that. You will learn how to surrender and let go. The manifestation challenge will help you create the belief that it will happen for you. And a lot of women who are struggling to have a baby have told me, oh, I can't join the manifestation challenge because like I'm having a baby soon. Like I need to get pregnant now. And it's in January. I'm like, it's 2 months away. But I know what it was like to be holding on to a timeline every month. Join the challenge. Let go of the how and the when. It will help you on your journey to manifesting. So, bye, manifestors. Until next time. And if you like my vibe, please subscribe and be part of the Manifest movement. Whoop, whoop.